Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back inside the Southside Ice Arena. I'm Matt Gajtka. This is Cougar Puck Radio as your Cougars try for a 2-win weekend, but the task will be tough against the unbeaten Byron Center Bulldogs, who of course also call the Southside Ice Arena home. They just play on the other side of the facility behind us. Today, CC, the home team technically, and they'll try to act over the past two seasons combined. The Cougars have a lot of respect for the Bulldogs program, as they should, but they also want to strike back against Byron Center because Catholic Central is on a 6-game winless streak against the Bulldogs dating back to the 2019-20 season. So ever since the pandemic-shortened year, the Cougars have yet to pull off a victory against their rink rivals. They're 0-5-1 over that stretch, but 3 of those games have been tight, including one of them that went to overtime and finished in a tie, another one that went to OT and finished in a Byron Center win a couple of years ago. Last year, as the Bulldogs were dynamite for the entire year, the Cougars took them down to the wire in a December matchup that you might remember if you watched it here on CPR. They took a 2-1 lead, did Catholic Central, into the third period, but Byron Center scored 3 to overcome them and pull out the win. Also, Byron Center winning 4-0 on this rink, on this side, as the visiting team later in the year. And honestly, I'm shocked BC didn't go on to win the Division II state title. They fell in the final to Brother Rice 4-2, despite carrying a 2-0 lead into the third. So for second-year head coach Jordan Steger, this program has been built by coaches and players who've come before this current group, but they're trying to climb that one last mountain, and again, they're off to a fantastic start, scoring 5 goals per game. In fact, the Bulldogs have scored at least 5 in their past 6 games, all victories, obviously, as they are 9-0 on the season. The power play has been especially deadly. They average 1 PPG per game, and they've been especially dominant against OK conference competition, going 4-0 so far with a 19-4 goal difference. But there's some good news on the Cougars side, too, because they've been very good in preventing goals so far this season. They're second of all the OK conference teams in goals against average. That's obviously a combination of goaltending and team defense, but they trail only East Grand Rapids, which has a 1.2 goals against average on the season in terms of preventing goals. The Cougars have allowed just 11 in their first 8 games, and going back to last night, defense was a big reason why they pulled out the 2-1 win against Mona Shores. Obviously, you talk about the late heroics again. Nate Sova scoring off a delicious little dish from Zach Westrick with just over a minute to play in regulation time to give the Cougars that win. But Catholic Central also killed off a lengthy 2-man advantage in the first period that the Mona Shores Sailors enjoyed, and a late 6-on-4 power play with the goalie pulled over essentially the final minute after Sova scored to put the Cougars on top. That is Sova's second late third period game winner of the season. It's the Cougars' third game winner, coming with 70 seconds or less to go in the third this year. Westrick also scored with 30 seconds to go against Grand Rapids Christian on Thanksgiving Eve. You might remember. Last night, Byron Center beat Rockford 6-1, so both teams today, as we get set for the 2:05 approximate time for the faceoff, both teams are going for 2-win weekends. And like I said, it'll take a big effort from the Cougars, but they have been locked in defensively this season. That leads you to believe that if they can perhaps limit Byron Center, a team that's averaging 5 goals per game, hold them to 2 or 3, they've got a pretty good shot at pulling off the win. Last year's Byron Center squad went 28-2. They returned 10 players from that team, but they lost 3 of their top 5 scorers, headlined by Logan Nicholas, who's now playing for the Wisconsin club in the North American Hockey League, the second-tier junior league in North America. But the one thing is Grand Rapids Catholic Central Boys Hockey on YouTube.
Thank you, Lord, for the gift of life. Thank you for the ability to participate today, whether as a player, coach, official, or spectator. Keep in mind that our abilities are gifts from you. Open the minds of these athletes to play with pride in themselves, their family, and their school, and perform with the highest respect for their worthy opponents. As always, we do this in your name. Amen. Now let's get the starting players for both teams. First, our guests today, the Byron Center Bulldogs. On defense, number 3, Gajtka O'Keefe. On defense, number 22, Colin Story.
Jim Lanto, the PA man, announcing the starting lineups right now. Colin Story and Jackson O'Keefe on the blue line. And looks like, as I was alluding to, it'll be the senior newcomer, Brady Swanson, between the pipes. He's 6-0 on the season with a 9.25 goals against average and the lone shutout of the year for Byron Center, which came back in their opener against Grand Rapids Christian. One of a couple common opponents for these two teams. For the Cougars, they'll start Henry Kwiatkowski, who assisted on the first goal last night against Mona Shores, alongside his regular defense partner, Preston Berta. We've got Ryder Mulvey with Nate Sova and Isaac Kapinga up front. And in goal, as expected, the senior Trent Goheen makes his 52nd varsity start for the Cougars. Time for the national anthem from Southside. Back for the opening faceoff after this. All right, here we go. Byron Center in the black and the orange. The unbeaten Bulldogs, coached by second-year head man Jordan Steger. And Catholic Central in the alternate white jerseys with the blue helmets and pants, coached by 14th-year head man Mike Slobodnik. The drop of the puck, and here we go. Two of the premier programs in West Michigan facing off on this Saturday afternoon. And the Bulldogs start with the puck. Jackson O'Keefe wheeling it behind his net to his defense partner, Story. Aerial play out through center, and Henry Kwiatkowski tracks it down. I thought Kwiatkowski was really good last night against Mona Shores. He stubbed that pass, though, as Mulvey has to help out. Now Kwiatkowski up the far side wall. Sova, late hero, one of a couple late heroes last night for the Cougars. Worked it over on near wing for Isaac Kapinga. Distributes in behind the goal. That's where Swanson will swat it away with a big goal stick. Swanson versus Goheen is your goaltending matchup. Swanson in his 7th career varsity start, all occurring this year. Over to the far corner, a minute into this one. Outwater, losing control. Jackson Froisland skies it through center ice. All the way back down into Cougars real estate, but not far enough for an icing. Braden Bates on the exchange with Liam Ten Harmsel, first-year Cougars D-man. He's been excellent so far this year. Stepping right in, taking on some major minutes. Froisland to the far wing, now bouncing through center. Here comes Braxton McKee, but fantastic stick work by Bates to swat it off his blade. Backhand pass toward the front, and Goheen tried to pin it down with his blocker. Still available there. McKee looking for it, And driven off the wall by Westrick. Laska keeps in. One-timer off the bouncing puck. Good save by Goheen on McKee's chance. That came out of nowhere. McKee handing off to Dalton Clark. Now back to McKee. Makes a man miss. McKee shooting up high, and he missed everything. Chopped out through center and down. This will go for an icing against the Cougars as it crosses the goal. I know it won't. Pardon me. Spoke too soon. So Brem revs it up for Byron Center. Gets around the edge. Casey Brem stopped by Goheen. Rebound over to Brem on the near side. In behind the goal. Fisher trying to wrap it on the backhand. That stop made by Goheen too. Fisher centering. Alex Pollock got a stick to it to knock it away from Nick Dulce. Swung back toward the middle. That's where Pollock is stationed. Intercepts. Feeds off to Sam Moore. Moore across, but his pass was behind Brody Potter. 2.5 minutes in. Nary a whistle. Kind of like last night's game against Mona Shores. A lot of flow to begin this one. Pratt gave it away to Berta. Preston Berta stretches out. The senior D-man pumps it on goal from center ice. And there we get our first stoppage as Swanson holds on. 14-14 to go in the first. Today's the kind of day I could use a color commentator. Working through a compromised voice this weekend. Doing my best for you. This is a huge game, so no way I was going to miss this one. Kapinga had a great chance to win it last night before Sova eventually did, less than a minute later. Couldn't make anything happen in the offensive zone. Worked it back to Berta. He fires into the far corner. The Cougars have to tag up. It's a delayed offside. They still haven't gotten all the way out of the zone. They're mistiming it. Kapinga stays in the zone. This is going to be an intentional offside against Catholic Central. I think Kapinga thought he had cleared it sufficiently, but when he went out, someone else was in. That was the problem. Guys were coming out of the zone, but not all at the same time. And that's what you have to do to cancel out the offside. Mulvey versus Froisland, one of the 10 returners, Froisland from last year. Froisland, the leading returning scorer on this team with 44 points. Driven toward the point. Here's O'Keefe wristing. Stick save by Goheen. Big rebound, a vibrant one off the end boards. And Luke Philo tried to swat it in, but couldn't control the bouncing puck. Philo takes the pass from Froisland. No, he doesn't. Sova knocked it off his stick. And Mulvey clears. This is the 5th game out of 10 for Byron Center against OK competition. They've played quite a bit outside of the region. And a whistle and a penalty. The Cougars were forechecking, but I think they might have gotten caught here with their hand in the cookie jar. Nate Sova going to the box for hooking. Time of the penalty, 13-16 to go in the first period. Catholic Central went 4 for 4 on the PK last night against Mona Shores. Byron Center's power play, though, is a different beast altogether. They've scored 9 times in 9 games. Top goal man is Cade Pratt. I don't see him out there right now. At least on the power play, he's the top goal man with 3. In front, a shot by Clark, and a point-blank save by Goheen. Good start to this PK. O'Keefe couldn't get by Outwater. The Cougars try to push the pace, but Westrick is wiped out by Clark, and a penalty called by the referee behind the play. Roughing. And I think it's against Clark. That'll even things up. Just 24 seconds into the power play. We're going to 4-on-4. Roughing with 12:52 to go in the first. So that'll open up some ice. And on cue, we see the speedy Ryder Mulvey get the assignment at the face-off dot. Lost control of that one, though, to Colton Swanson. Byron Center D-man. Swanson played last year but didn't score any points. Look out in front of the net. Nearly some trouble there for the Bulldogs, but poked away from Kapinga at the last moment by Laska. Back to get this on the 4-on-4 is Swanson. Reverses the flow of play. Luke Laska with his head up. Gave it away to Mulvey nearly, but it bounced right through him. Scooped up by Pratt. Pratt down the wing. Rips the shot high and wide. Now Bates dishes ahead away from Mulvey. Yes, the 4-on-4 gives you more space, but you got to be more accurate with the passes. Sometimes there's just an open wing, and you got to make sure you know where you're feeding it. Pratt, cross rink. Westrick almost picked that off. Zach Westrick winds it up with 12 to go in the first. Picking his way into the attacking zone, shooting, and a blocker save by Swanson up high. Colin Story in the corner, confronted there by his opposite, number 22, Luke Goheen. 2 Goheens on the ice today. Almost said tonight. Hard habit to break, obviously. The afternoon special from Southside. 2 rink rivals going at it. Berta floats the puck toward net. Swanson parries it away. O'Keefe sets sail through center ice. A lot of speed, but can't keep possession on the half wall. Kwiatkowski dishes up the near wing, but Laska holds it at the point. Ben Passano, 10 goals on the year to lead the Bulldogs. Left it back. The Cougars now have a short power play as Sova's penalty expires. McKee centers, looking for Passano, who shot it off the outside of the net. Goheen knocked the net off its pegs, and with the Cougars on the advantage, he tried to just slyly pull it back on, but it's not going to work right in front of the referee. We get the whistle with 9 seconds to go on the roughing penalty to Byron Center's Dalton Clark. Byron Center ranked number 2 in Division II with that 9-0 mark. Under their head coach, Jordan Steger, they've lost exactly twice over the past 2 seasons. Once in the state championship game and once to Heartland late last year on the road in a showcase. That puck was played off of a Bulldogs glove on the bench. Westrick tried to feed it back to the blue line. That'll give the Cougars an offensive zone face-off. Really nice crowd here today, as you would imagine. 2 teams fighting for Southside supremacy. We've also got a representative from state champs Michigan. Good to see them. Our friends Jonathan Kidd and Sean Belegian promoting the Cougars hockey program frequently. And we thank them for that. And we've got a couple of honest-to-God news stations here even. Imagine that in 2023. Face-off won by the Cougars. Kwiatkowski wristed it right into the equipment of Jackson Freusland. Gets it back on the give and go from Cade Pratt. Pratt circling and centering, comes all the way back. Swanson shot, score! Colton Swanson pumps it through Goheen, and with 10:28 to go in the first, the potent Bulldogs offense is heard from. Swanson off the centering pass from Pratt gives Byron Center the 1-0 lead. Not sure if there was some traffic in front. Kind of looked like Goheen took a little while to pick up that shot. But an even strength tally. Kind of a surprising goal there, as Swanson didn't even see it go in, I don't think. He had a late reaction to it. But the Bulldogs take the early edge, and now the pressure shifts to the Cougars to formulate a response. Liam Ten Harmsel from behind the goal, off to Sova. Dish it off a Byron Center stick and back out through to center. Laska firing ahead, off the linesperson. McKee shooting, and it was a hot shot that Goheen got handcuffed by, but he made the save on, and it deflects out of play. So it's Colton Swanson, his first varsity goal. Congratulations to the senior. From Pratt and Freusland should get the second assist. It wasn't announced, but Freusland and Pratt were playing the 2-man game through the neutral zone that allowed that all to open up for Byron Center. Another penalty. And we've seen some penalties in these games over the past couple of years. You might recall that the graduated goaltender McKenzie got booted from a game last year between these two. That was the Byron Center netminder. Another penalty against Dalton Clark. He's right back to the box. The Cougars get a second power play. This one, they hope, a A little bit longer than the first, unless they score right away on it, of course. They only had a few seconds last time on the backside of that 4-on-4. Pratt turns and clears for the Bulldogs. These two teams will meet again in the regular season finale in mid-February on the other rink at Southside. Turn back toward Preston Berta's side by Ten Harmsel. Interference the call against Clark. He spends some time in the box once again. And the Cougars, like last night, having a hard time getting the puck with control through the middle of the ice. Here they come again. Outwater, backhanding. But again, it's picked off by the goal scorer, Swanson. He couldn't do much with it except dish to the corner. And rifled out of play. Watch out, right over the head of a couple of Byron Center assistant coaches. You can tell it's a big crowd when we have the fans lined up around the perimeter of the rink, down to our left. Westrick facing it off against the towering Luke Philo. Westrick won that, despite giving up maybe a foot to Philo. On a faceoff, though, might be better to be shorter. Toward the front of the net, scores! The Cougars get a power play goal. Braden Bates shot it. Couple of whacks on the doorstep. And Isaac Kappinga gets his fourth of the season to tie it up 1-1. 8:56 to go in the opening period. I think Nate Sova got a whack on it too, but almost certain it was Kappinga with the finishing touch behind the goaltender Swanson. Kappinga fitting right in with the Cougars' top guns. He's now tied, well, he's one behind, Nate Sova for the team lead in goals. He's got 4 along with Zach Westrick. Sova's got 5. No, now they're saying Nate Sova might have gotten it. Well, Bates shot it. I'm not sure Kwiatkowski's going to get an assist, even though that was what was announced. A lot of times what is announced isn't the final accounting. Either way, Westrick deflecting it ahead. All started, of course, with the face-off win by Zach Westrick, too. Berta wheels it toward net. Big rebound off the save from Swanson, but the Cougars can't gobble it up. Freusland does for Byron Center. Driving wide. The Bulldogs love this play. They like to take it wide and spread you out, but this time the centering pass is picked off by Luke Goheen. Freusland picks it up. Got a man wide open in front. Philo scores! 2-1 BC, just like that. Luke Philo, his 5th of the year, off the pass from Freusland. He got behind the Cougars' defense. And the tie game is short-lived. BC vaults back on top. With exactly 8 to go in the first, just 56 seconds after the Cougars tied it up. Freusland picks up his 2nd assist of the period. He continues to be a playmaker. That's now 10 helpers on the year for him in game number 10 for the Bulldogs. And I say it again, the Bulldogs have scored at least 5 goals in their last 6 games. They're on pace for that again. Just so dangerous off the transition. That's how they've scored a couple of times here. McKee dishing, and that's intercepted by Mulvey, but the Bulldogs keep the pressure on the forecheck. Dalton Clark battling in the corner. So 3 goals already on the board. That's all we had last night in the whole game. The puck still up for grabs. Pass no goals goes to the net, but it's left behind by McKee, taken by Kappinga. Headman feed. Sova deflects it ahead, but from behind the red line, that's icing against Catholic Central. I had just gotten finished talking about Philo's height and his long reach. He used that to his advantage on that goal, changing the angle against Goheen. pulling it to the forehand from the backhand. That's about a 3 or 4 foot difference for the goaltender to adjust to from close range. Just too much to ask. And we have another penalty against Byron Center. Bulldogs undisciplined in the first period. Luke Laska takes the minor with 7:16 to go in the period. Sova wins the draw. Back to Bates. The Cougars are 1 for 2 on the power play. Sova shoots and went right through Swanson, but bounced wide into the corner. Bates through Kwiatkowski. Roughing. 2 roughing penalties against Byron Center in this game so far. Bates backpedaling. Cross-ring feed. Sova couldn't get by Freusland in his strong stick. He sends it right back in behind the goal. Mishandled by Goheen. Bouncing around back there. And the Bulldogs just trying to kill some time now. Bates with a couple of Bulldogs trapped. Trying to make a move. Feeds it up ahead. Deflected into the Bulldogs bench by Eli Colden, who stepped up on Kwiatkowski at the blue line. The Cougars will change up their power play fivesome with 6:29 to go in the first. 1:14 remaining on the power play. Their third of the game already. So they're getting opportunities here, and it might be the special teams that have to come through to help them keep pace with Byron Center today. Centering Philo, deflected shot, nearly hit Berta behind the net. In fact, who was checking Clark. Outwater. Backhand pass away from Berta. He's got to go retrieve it off the wall. Goheen relays. Outwater driving wide, shot it. Oh, that was a good look, and he just missed, sticking it under the crossbar. Instead, it sails out of play. (2-1) BC, as you can see on your device screen. Welcome to Cougar Puck Radio. I'm Matt Gajtka, bringing you the play-by-play of this OK Rue rivalry. Another year when we'll see these teams collide twice. Mulvey takes it. 10 Harmsel now. Pump fake into the corner with it to Goheen. Back to Mulvey. Thought about the overlap. Dropped it back. 10 Harmsel. One-timer save. Rebound score! Luke Goheen rifles it in from almost no angle whatsoever from the side of the net. Give me fuel, give me fire. 2-2. Another power play goal for Catholic Central. Goheen, second of the year, both on the advantage. Ten Harmsel's shot caused the chaos, and the Cougars are 2 for 3 on the power play. Less than 24 hours after having the power play come up empty on 4 opportunities. Carlander chips it deep. Catholic Central's got the newcomers line out there with Cooper Moss and Jackson Dozema. One of the Bulldogs fell down. That was Dulce trying to make a pass. 10 Harmsel yanking it back across traffic. Under 5 to go and an entertaining first period. 2-2 your score. Dulce dealing the puck back to the point. Swanson one-hands it, and a backhand. A good firm backhand from Tucker Fisher. Gobbled up by Goheen, and he stops the music with 4:46 to go in the first. Can't tell you how good of a shot that was from Goheen. There wasn't much to look at there, especially as a right-handed shot from that deep right along the goal line. But sometimes you just nail it. Sometimes you hit the bullseye. And Goheen sure did. His first goal since, I believe, the opener. Philo wanted to shoot. That was blocked down. Capping a head up. Makes the diagonal pass to Mulvey. Long distance shots. And Brady Swanson calms things down with the save. So that's going to cut into Swanson's sparkling save percentage on the season. He came in with a .925 mark. and a 1.67 goals against average. Been talking up the BC offense, but defensively they've been super solid as well, allowing fewer than 2 goals per game. So the Cougars have gotten there already. Not even 1 period in. Chipped up and out, Cade Pratt. It's a 2-on-1. He centers. It's Philo. Digs out of his skates, and he's stopped by Goheen. Big save with 4:12 to go in the first. And Trent Goheen controls the puck for the draw. And I called it as a 2-on-1. Berta decided to take the chance of pressuring Pratt. And Pratt moved the puck quickly to counter that, but Philo just couldn't control. Off the faceoff win, Passano's shot was blocked. He was in the shooter's hole, if you will, trying to catch Goheen and the Cougars by surprise. Icing against Bates and Catholic Central this time. .403 remaining in the first. Pollock versus Dalton Clark at the dot. Alex Pollock. Second-year Cougar, senior. Ties up that draw, the battle for it there. Clark backhanding toward the slot. Sam Moore intercepts. Wanted to send Potter away, but the pass eluded him. Moore takes the misfired dish from O'Keefe and dishes it deep. 2 even strength goals for Byron Center. 2 power play goals for Catholic Central. BC's had a couple of 1-goal leads. Can't imagine they've blown too many leads this season, just looking at their record. So now the Cougars on level terms. Maybe they can take an advantage. Force the Bulldogs to play from behind. I know they haven't played from behind very much. Icing again against Catholic Central, though. 3:19 showing on the first period clock. Westrick, he loves that move going forward off the draw. Did it again, just couldn't clear. Eli Colden fed to the corner. Casey Brem overlaps, centers off a couple of skates. Alex Sager takes it back to the play. Went around the horn with it to Goheen, to an open wing, and Westrick with some space. Westrick makes a man miss. Dished it back to Outwater, but a little bit away from him. Outwater crushes Casey Brem into the wall. Braylon Outwater has the puck again. To Sager. Outwater scans his options. All the way across to 10 Harmsel. He wristed one just wide of the net. Hard bounce off the glass. Sager switches it up, but fed it behind 10 Harmsel. He goes off the wall. Both teams changing. No icing here. Ruled to have been touched by Byron Center. Swanson up to Philo. 2:20 remaining in the period. Freusland picks it off behind the net. Kwiatkowski jams it into the snowy ice in the far corner. Sova whips it across. Trying to find Kappinga with it. Instead, Philo doubles back. Byron Center's Laska fires an errant pass. Again, Kwiatkowski gives it right back to the Bulldogs at their line. Laska tapped it ahead. Philo chops it in. 1:45 to go in the first. Berta guns it off Sova, again deflecting it into the Byron Center bench. We've seen that a few times already today. Catholic Central was ranked 4th in Division III in the most recent Michigan Hockey Hub poll. That was back when they were 5-0. After they beat East Grand Rapids in the Teddy Bear Toss game. Then they went 1-1 at the D3 Challenge in Gaylord last weekend, beating the defending state champs. Flint Powers Catholic, 3-1, and then losing to Bay Reps for their first defeat of the season, 5-0. Last night it was 2-1 over Mona Shores here at Southside. Much more offensive contest today. Bates whips it ahead, but the Cougars have to tag up on the delayed offside, and they do. O'Keefe flipping it in for Byron Center. Ten Harmsel. Coughed it up to Passano on the far side wall. McKee, he's been elusive in this period, but his pull-up move didn't work. Passano to the near wing, a snapshot online by Dalton Clark. Stopped by the big pads of Trent Goheen. He controls with 48 seconds left before the first break. Catholic Central's already won 7 times this year, but looking for a real tentpole signature victory. They have an opportunity for that today. Mulvey chases after his own chip in. Ryder Mulvey pinned by Colden, but now Westrick helps out. Over to Mulvey. Below the goal line, wants to go out to Kwiatkowski and does. 30 seconds to go in the period. Kwiatkowski whiffed on the shot. Mulvey to Westrick. Back to Mulvey in front. Inadvertent shot on goal, and Swanson booted it out. But the Bulldogs can't clear. Westrick deking in, but he couldn't power that shot on net while he fell to the ice. Freusland. 8 seconds to go in the frame. Pratt is trying to make a safe play. Finds Philo. No, he doesn't. It's knocked away from him. Would have been offside anyway. Berta runs out the clock. There's the buzzer, ending a highly entertaining and back and forth period number 1.
Shots on goal for the period for Byron Center, 10. For Catholic Central, 10.
The shots were 10 apiece for the Cougars as we go to the break and the intermission on the way. Keep it here on Cougar Puck Radio. Hey, how's it going? Oh boy, just gotta grind through today.
Up and look through everything.
Oh,
and
yeah,
update stats.
It's just, I don't know, I've been doing it for like 15 years, so.
Yeah,
but It's like last night, first game in like a week and a half, and the first period's always like, okay, get
shaking
the brain.
the rust off a little bit, getting back in the mode. Yeah.
And like I've had a cold for a while, so my voice isn't what it could be. So I'm just trying to like conserve a little bit.
Everything up.
It's so hard in hockey. It's not like you can sit around.
No, it's fast paced. I watch a ton of Red Wings hockey, and it is fascinating to see how. I mean, granted, they know all the players at that point, right? But it's incredible the way that they can keep up with the pace of play and not fumble over the words and all that stuff.
It's kind of like jazz music, you know. You're just kind of rolling with it, and
right.
That's what I like. You're just reacting.
Right. Exactly.
And the preparation hopefully comes through.
Yep.
And it does get easier as the season goes along. I know my guys by heart, so I don't have to look down for them.
Right. How many times do they play the same team? Do they play Byron Center more than once? Or?
Yeah, they'll play them twice in a year. Same division.
Yeah.
So
even then, the second time, it's like, okay, I remember a few of these names
and
now.
There's some repeats from last year that I remember. Exactly. So it's good. And they have names on their back. Yeah. Also good.
Which also helps.
Yeah. Every little bit helps. So.
That's good. Well, my daughter's yelling at me, so I gotta go find her spot.
Are you rooting for someone from BC or what?
Yeah, for Young Life, we've got a bunch of players on the Byron Center team.
Oh, nice. Who are they?
We've got Philo.
Yeah,
he
second
scored second goal. Nick. We got Nick. Eli.
Okay.
And
that's fun.
I think that's it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I never like connect our church to Byron Center for some reason.
Yeah,
like in my head, I don't think about it that way.
Well,
but
there's
obviously.
there's a lot of them from like Luke Philo is probably the only one that goes to our church from the team. So.
Got it.
All right, I gotta go.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
They sit together. Oh, that's nice.
That was Kapinga, the first one.
Was?
Yeah.
They gave it to Nate.
Yeah. It might change that, I don't know. He wasn't even close to the play. He wasn't even one of the two on the...
Yeah, that's crazy. It was. Capping is 16, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I might have fixed that.
It's comical sometimes how bad they miss. Like, the refs, I don't expect them to get it right, but, I mean, I guess they have to give them some number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it should be Kapinga from Bates and Sova there.
Yeah, it almost did look offside there.
It was close. It was super close.
They got to repaint the line.
Yeah, the lines are awful. You get about halfway through the period, you can't.
I don't think they've redone the ice in 2 years. Usually, I'd like to think they do it every other year. But
Yeah. Hey, look at that. You can't even see our logo.
yeah, it's super big.
So you were tempted yesterday, eh? Simulator at some dude's house. And
Oh, no. Oh, I thought about it. Did he show you the picture?
no, hey, like a man building something, a guy kid, or is that a
Back for action in the second period. I seem to have lost my video feed here. Not sure what's going on. I'll try to regain it. There we go. Okay. You somehow got a press box view there for a second. Good thing I wasn't doing anything dumb besides trying to figure out my computer. It's the joy of producing while broadcasting. Anyway, thanks for bearing with me all weekend. Had a couple of games this month where my voice has been bad. Battling through some respiratory issues. I'm around little kids a lot, so it happens, I guess. Hoping to power through, much like the Cougars are trying to power through in a tough matchup today against Byron Center. So far, so good. 2-2. Kapinga and Goheen, the power play goals in that first period, countering tallies by Colton Swanson and Luke Philo for Byron Center. That's where we're at. Start the middle frame on the fresh sheet. Looking back at the replay of the first Cougars goal, that was maybe an inch away from being offside as Bates cradled the puck at the blue line, right on the blue line. But like I was saying last night, the lines, just you can barely even see them right now, let alone when we get some snow out there at the end of a period. Icing against Catholic Central. The goaltender, Brady Swanson, just pinned his skate against the post just in case. But that makes all these calls so challenging for the linesmen and the referees. Really not fair to them. And I'm not trying to call anybody out, but I'm just saying you need to have a suitable surface to play on. And that includes lines that you can see from more than a foot away. Back to action. McKee centering shot. Great save. Goheen on Passano's opportunity from right at the top of the crease. Another grade A save for Trent Goheen. Mark that one down. I am for the post-game highlight reel. By the way, last night's highlight reel is up on Cougar Puck Radio, including Nate Sova's final minute game winner. Well, not technically. It was with 1:03 to go, but close enough. Another icing against Catholic Central. Drags the draw back to our left. And the Bulldogs tried to execute a late change, too late as it turns out. They are the visiting team, so they have to change first. And a couple of players are being sent back on the ice. I don't know what's up now. The Cougars are trying to make a change. And they aren't allowed to make a change either. Old players have to go back out there. New players back to the bench. The ref at center ice was kind of ticked, it looked like, that both coaches tried to sneak a couple players past him. How it works is you're given an opportunity to change lines at a stoppage, and then after that you can't do it anymore. Goheen, wide of the net with that one. Of course, once play starts, you can change whenever you want. The beauty of on the fly. Clark is wiped out on a check by, guess who? Braylon Outwater. Icing against Byron Center as a result. If there's a big check, it's probably going to be number 13 this year at least. It feels like he's really stepped up his physicality. Now, sometimes he's gone over the line, so he's got to reel that in when he is on that line, but that was a good, clean check. At any rate, he's providing the energy this year for Catholic Central in a big way. The Pollock line is out there with Potter and Moore. The puck played right by Moore to Eli Colden. Now Fisher looking to latch on. Drives it around the wood. Held up behind the net by Trent Goheen, the slick stick-handling netminder of Catholic Central. Ten Harmsel on the lead pass. Moore nubs it ahead. What's the call here? Offside, I think. Maybe not. I don't know what the referee is saying down in the corner. He was making the signal like charging. He's saying bad change against the Cougars. I don't know. I don't know why this stoppage occurred. And again, that same referee who was a tad miffed earlier, again, appears to be upset at something. It's the best I can give you, folks. Froisland can't take the pass. Oh, he nearly knocked it down and did from Goheen, and he turned it right out in front blindly, nearly hooking up with Philo. That'd have been some play. And that's hockey, right? Taking a chance, making a bet that the play is going to progress as you see it in your head. And that close for Froisland, paying off that bet. You're always taking pictures, if you will, as a player looking up Scanning. Sova shoots it out of play. When you hear players talk about shoulder checks, look over your shoulder, see where the opponents are configured. And of course, the beauty of this sport is it's constantly changing. It'll test your reaction time, your creativity, of course, your conditioning. Physically, you got to be able to do what you imagine. That's not always the easiest thing. Kwiatkowski's backhand out to center, glove down by Swanson, who scored the first goal in this game. Cooper Moss had it taken away by Jackson Freusland. He fed it to the middle, but Philo had his stick lifted. Karsten Carlander heads up ice, bumped into Moss, who was trying to hold up at the blue line. Catholic Central turns it over. 4 minutes into the second period. Nothing on the board yet. Since the intermission, Carlander took the skates out from Freusland, and there's the second penalty of the game against Catholic Central. With 12:51 to go, number 8, Karsten Carlander, has a seat for tripping. And it'll be the second power play of the afternoon for Byron Center. Their first one lasted just about 19 seconds. Wasn't long, I know that. Westrick's going to try to win this draw and kill some time, or at least tie it up, and he does, but it squirts over to Passano. On his off wing, working the half wall. Colin Story manning the point. Hits the bumper man. Pratt couldn't pull the trigger. Westrick lifted his stick from behind, but the Cougars can't clear. Freusland, center point. Story shot, and stopped by Goheen. No further play. The Cougars penalty kill on a pretty good run this weekend. 5 for their first 5. They had some struggles against Bay Reps last Saturday in Gaylord. That Bay Reps power play was impressive. They were using the entire width of the ice very effectively. I was talking about that with a couple of the parents after the game. That was what most impressed us about the Bay Reps, the way they played last week. Swanson dished to an open wing, hoping for someone in black and orange to be there. Eventually, Freusland takes over. Feels like Freusland's had the puck for half the game. Here he is again. Cruising against Kwiatkowski. Protecting and feeding. Passano, he can rip it. Instead, he passes off to Story. Near wing in the skates of Freusland. Bumped off the biscuit by Henry Kwiatkowski. First minute gone on this power play. The Bulldogs control again, though. Pratt out to Story. Back to Pratt. Or pardon me, Freusland. Now Pratt gets the pass in the slot. Can't handle it. Story looks right side, tries the left. Pratt one-timer off the glove of Goheen and over the high glass. Good save to keep it at 2-2. 38 ticks left on the power play. Fresh bodies for both sides. 9 new skaters on the ice. 5 for BC, 4 for CC. And it's Laska walking the line and shooting, deflected off the glove of Nate Sova. And they hack at it in the corner. Dalton Clark. Dish to Kaminga. Dylan Kaminga tripped by the goaltender. Fell over him. And here's Braden Bates escaping. Flies it over on right wing to Nate Sova. Pulls the trigger, but blocked by Laska. Final 10 seconds of the power play. Westrick. He's got a couple of shorties this year. Actually, pardon me, Sova has a couple. Westrick does have one. And the Cougars are going to kill off this power play. 2 for 2 on the afternoon. Jackson O'Keefe dangerously in front of his own net, but now he has some space. O'Keefe to the doorstep, and no one home for Byron Center. Goheen pads it to his glove, and keeps. 10:32 showing on the second period clock. All the scoring in this game took place back in the first period. Fisher against Pollock at the dot. And Pollock and the Cougars take command. Backhanded to the line by Moore, following up Pollock. He's got Potter ahead. They battle for it against the kick plate, he and Zayden Bathrick. Moore tries to center from behind the goal line. Pollock couldn't turn it in front. Brem clears for Byron Center. The number 2 ranked and unbeaten Bulldogs in a real fight this afternoon against the Cougars of Catholic Central. 10 Harmsel all the way in, and a shot head high. They've been dominant. 5 region titles in a row. They've also got 5 OK Rue Division championships over the past 7 years. And they've made it to 2 finals. The one thing they haven't done is win it all. Have not gotten over that final hump. Deflected over the near side glass. And we'll face it off again in just a moment. Last year, the closest they'd come, or that they have come so far, leading 2-0 against Brother Rice going into the third period at USA Hockey Arena in Plymouth. But Brother Rice scored 4 in the third to steal the championship away from Byron Center. But they've got a strong club again. Froisland wristing wide. Philo trying to sneak it in on the backhand. That was off target. Sova backpedals at center, waiting for reinforcements. Shoots instead and held on to expertly by Swanson. So now it's become more of a deliberately paced game. The goaltenders slowing it down. Not intentionally, of course, but holding on to pucks. Wholesale changes for both teams. Special teams has been a difference maker today. Catholic Central scored twice on 3 power plays, and they've kept Byron Center off the board on 2. Clark cracks it out. Passano chasing. It'll be no icing here. 10 Harmsel and Passano cancel out. Kwiatkowski ripped it around the wood. Dozema chipped it to himself. He's got Carlander backdoor, shot it there, and Carlander couldn't handle the rebound. It was a pass off pads by Dozema. Smart play. But Swanson made the save, and the Cougars just didn't get the bounce on the backside with Carlander lurking. Passano flips out. And the Cougars doing a nice job staying in front of this Byron Center counterattack in the second period. Dulce stripped by Westrick of Catholic Central, but turned back over. Braxton McKee protecting the puck on his backhand, now his forehand. Distributes behind the goal. Fisher touched it on to Kamiga. O'Keefe shot blocked by Outwater. Still high in the Cougar zone. Outwater swoops in to take it. He's got Westrick ahead but couldn't get the pass through, and it's offside on the follow-up chance. And Westrick smashed by Fisher after the whistle. Interesting. As we've passed the midway point of regulation time. We'll see if anything comes of this penalty-wise. Looks like it will. Roughing called against Colin Story. And Catholic Central appears to be getting ready for their 4th power play of the day. That's a gift from BC with 7:51 to go in the second. Can the Cougars take their first lead of this all Southside matchup? They chase it down on the near side. Bates. Sova. One of the Bulldogs doesn't have a stick. Wrist shot from the point by Bates. Save made by Swanson. Sova. Out to the line. Bates. Back to Sova. Rips it deflected. Scores! Sova shot it through traffic. It bounced around and in. And with 7:28 to go in the second, Catholic Central leads it for the first time today. 3-2. It looked like Cade Pratt was the one who lost his stick for BC, and the Bulldogs just couldn't recover. A third power play goal. We'll await the announcement on this one. Sova celebrated like it was his. I think it might have been his, but Westrick and Kappinga were also lurking around the goal as it deflected behind Swanson and in. Big time statement from the Cougars power play today. 3 for 4 on the afternoon. Shot by Passano, save. Rebound and another stop. So Sova does get credit for this one. Westrick and Kwiatkowski, the initial assist men on the play, as announced in-house. Sova crushed there by Clark. So I thought for a minute it might have gone off a Cougar stick in front. Looks like it was off of a Bulldogs twig. Ironic considering that they were missing a stick. Mulvey tries to go around a man right to the goal. Never got the shot away, but a penalty coming up against BC again. Head contact in the neutral zone. 6:34 remaining in the second. The penalties are piling up for the Bulldogs, and it's costing them big time. Dalton Clark to the penalty box. It's a hat trick of penalties for him. He went off twice back in the first. Catholic Central scored on one of those. Goheen. Oh, he had his stick lifted from behind. Otherwise, it would have been a golden opportunity there. Goheen again. He's got a goal in this game. To Westrick below the goal line. Back out high to 10 Harmsel. Over to Berta. Couldn't handle the hot pass. And tapped out the center. Pratt trying to track it down shorthanded. Harassing 10 Harmsel. Goheen, talk about a third defenseman, made that play. But Freusland bunts it across. Pratt faked one way. Instead, he'll just stay in the corner and flip it deeper. 6 minutes to go in the second. 1:20 left on the power play. The Cougars are 3 for 4 on the advantage this afternoon. Outwater to an open man. Westrick shoots, and a glove save by Swanson. No further play. Maybe his best save of the game. Mulvey, Kappinga, and Sova, the forwards out there now for the Cougars, along with Kwiatkowski and Bates on the blue line. Kwiatkowski scans and shoots, and Swanson saw that one the whole way. Another glove save. So Byron Center scored first. They also had a 2-1 lead, but now Catholic Central was punched back massively. Bates. Off the faceoff went Kwiatkowski through traffic and wide into the near corner. Mulvey pulls up. He's got Sova with him. Instead, he finds Bates out by the line. Dishes over to Mulvey. Misfired on the pass. Philo's going to reach over and does flush it out to center for Byron Center. They battle at the red line. Kappinga wins the joust. Story turns it right back up the same side and out again. A half minute to go on the power play. 5 minutes to go in the second period. O'Keefe hooked up a little from behind, but play allowed to continue on. Couldn't clear, could O'Keefe, but now Story has it. Put some loft on it and right by Philo out at center. He chases to it. Bates slides down, turned right through the slot. And under the stick of Brem. Headman pass, too strong from Bates, looking for Mulvey. It's an icing against Catholic Central with just 1 second remaining on the power play. So it looks like this one will go by the boards, unscored on. The Cougars stand at 7-1 on the season. Byron Center at 9-0. And would it ever be sweet for Catholic Central to deal the Bulldogs their first loss, but still a lot of work to do. McKee flipping it behind the net. Goheen run into back there by Dalton Clark, who just can't avoid the controversy today. Pratt. And by the way, Goheen's stick is still in the corner, but Catholic Central does clear. That'll give Goheen a chance to take the handoff from Kwiatkowski, get his stick back. Cooper Moss confronted by McKee. Clark wedged it loose. Pratt backs his way over the blue line. It's onside, though. To McKee. Slips it in front, but only Kwiatkowski there for Catholic Central. Berta bangs it, but not out. Pratt to the middle. Turning Colden. Couldn't get the shot away. Tossed all the way down. Will be far enough for icing. Yes, it will. With Bathrick going back for it. 3.5 remaining in the second. As the drama builds. And we're not even in the third period yet. Froisland v. Westrick at the dot now. They tie up. Froisland driving in and scores. What an impressive goal from Jackson Froisland. Just leaned in and scored as he showed all the patience in the world. Waiting for Goheen to go down. Eventually the goaltender has to in that spot. And Froisland just stuffed it in on the left post. We are tied with 3:26 to go in the second. 3-3. Another new hockey game. At least I think it's going to be unassisted. Froisland took the face-off, and it ended up being him driving right to the goal. Power move for his 9th of the season. Well, this game's been all we could ask for, hasn't it been so far? Watch out, Pratt wanted to poke it to the net on one knee. Couldn't do it. Kappinga takes over. Colden behind the net. Look out right out in front. And Philo charging out of traffic with it. Slides it on goal. Goheen right by Philo. Pratt picks it off. Froisland out by the line. Turning, feeding. He's got Philo. Back to the front. Deflected just wide by Froisland on the give and go. Kwiatkowski has Froisland pinned behind the net. And the referee is going to take both of them, I think. He stopped play. The Bulldogs fans were especially incensed at that. Kwiatkowski and Froisland both go. There will be no power play from this. And honestly, getting Froisland off the ice for a little bit might be a win for Catholic Central. And that call did not make the men in stripes any more popular with the Byron Center crowd or the Byron Center bench, for that matter. Coach Jordan Steger wants an explanation. I think what he's saying is that Kwiatkowski instigated it by falling on top of Froisland behind the net. But I couldn't quite tell who had a hold of whom. Maybe it was a little bit or a lot on both sides. That's why we see the coincidental minor penalties issued. O'Keefe from the near wing. Off a couple of skates to Passano, offside. Whistled down.
Coincidental minor penalties, assist at the 14:25 mark. For Byron Center, number 2, Jackson Freusland, 2 minutes for holding.
Holding on Freusland.
Henry Kwiatkowski, 2 minutes for roughing. Both penalties.
So Kwiatkowski gets roughing. Interesting. I would have thought holding on both sides. Goheen holds it there. See how aggressive both teams are in the final 2 minutes of this period. Now that we're back on even terms, you'd imagine they're going to push for the go-ahead goal and then get a break and try to protect that lead in the third, but not a lot of time for that. 2:07 left. The puck was frozen on the near side wall. You don't see that call very often anymore in the modern game. Almost always the referees make the players move it, or at least try to move it when it's stuck in skates. Philo on the draw, back to Pratt, couldn't make a move. Good defense from Outwater. And Outwater punches it out to center. Luke Goheen drops it to Outwater. 13 in white, back to Goheen. Given away to Brem. Philo tries to emerge. Lost it. Westrick across. Saucer pass. A little too high for Goheen to shoot. Westrick on the backhand. Duberta shooting and right into the chest of Brady Swanson. 1:38 left in the second. And Outwater pulls Westrick out of the pack, trying to prevent him from taking a retaliation penalty. It's good leadership. Also, the Cougars have to realize they've gotten 5 power plays today. Byron Center has gotten 2, so human nature on the part of the officials dictates that they're going to be looking for something to call, so don't give them that opportunity. That'll be the thought the rest of the way, I think. 10 Armsel wheels it toward net, deflected. Still loose in the slot. Sova had the power play goal earlier in this period, but his backhand pass yanked right to a Bulldog. McKee clears. Passano driving it wide of the net. 1:18 left in the period. Pratt to the middle. Passano backhand. Deflected high of the goal, pardon me. McKee. Again a pass to open space. Passano's shot blocked. Blocked by Mulvey in front of the net. The ice is too snowy for that to go down for an icing. Oh, Sova almost picked it off on Swanson's feed. Under a minute to go in the period. 10 Armsel bounding it on goal. Luke Laska cradles and gives it away. Goheen couldn't shoot. Westrick, stop, save again on Sova, and Goheen couldn't get to the follow-up. The Bulldogs a little sloppy coming out of their end. Sova right on net with that shot, and Swanson made another save with 33 seconds to go in the period. Havoc in front of the Bulldogs' goal. But the fourth goal doesn't come out of it for Catholic Central. Dozema gets the assignment for Catholic Central against Freusland. Won the draw. Kwiatkowski dumps in deep from the blue line. 25 seconds to go before the intermission. Our final intermission of the day. Moss, Dozema couldn't control and cleared by the Bulldogs. On to Berta. Cross rink to Kwiatkowski with 10 seconds. Moss helps it forward. Right into the clutches of O'Keefe. Freusland peels toward the middle and shoots offside is the call. Philo ahead of the play with 3 seconds on the board. Looks like we're going to go to the third. All knotted up, barring something absolutely crazy. Freusland wins the draw. Not going to matter. There's the buzzer. 1 goal apiece in the second, and we are going to go to the third on level terms in this Southside showdown. Catholic Central out shooting Byron Center 19-17, but they're all tied up 3-3. Sova for the Cougars, Froisland for the Bulldogs in that period. And that sets up what should be a magnificent third period, and who knows, maybe more. Stay with us on Cougar Puck Radio. I thought one of our guys deflected it, but
Is that what I saw too? The
Yeah.
puck went in because it
it hit the stick laying on the ice. Yeah, it was so weird. Yeah, well, no, he shot it, and then it hit the stick and jumped up. Yeah, over the goalie's shoulder. I had to watch it again. So I was watching the replays of the goals from the second period, as I often do after a period is over. Man, what else better do I have to do? Also trying to see if the official scoring was correct, but the Nate Sova goal, the reason why I was fooled by that is I thought someone tipped it in front, whether it be Westrick or Kappinga, but what actually happened was the loose stick that the Bulldogs dropped, I believe it was Pratt's stick, well, the stick actually deflected the shot without being held by anybody. It was lying on the ice. Sova shot it low. It ramped off the shaft of the stick and over the shoulder of the goaltender, Brady Swanson. So, well, you need some luck in this game sometimes. Maybe the Cougars were due one. Regardless, that was their third power play goal of the afternoon. They're 3 for 5 on the power play. Byron Center 0 for 2. And like I said, that's kept the Cougars in touch. It's kept them in contention to win this game. And I said before the game, if they can hold Byron Center to 3, you feel like they have a pretty decent chance of pulling out a result, whether it be a tie or a win. We haven't seen an overtime game yet this year for Catholic Central. Byron Center, they have only played one game that was decided by a single goal. They beat East Grand Rapids the day after Thanksgiving on the road, 3-2. Otherwise, they've won pretty comfortably throughout the course of this early season stretch in which they've gone 9-0, following up last year's nearly unbeaten regular season where they lost just once to Heartland. So we're off and running in the third. Sova takes over, feeding for Kappinga. A little too firm for him to take it. He dished over to Sova on the wall. Fresh sheet for both teams here. Sova's backhand pass. Skips behind the goal. Mulvey run into by a couple of Bulldogs, still keeping the puck in his skates. Bates helps out. Story for Byron Center. Good pass there to O'Keefe to relieve the pressure. Passano shoots in, but it hit a skate. Right to Bates in the corner. Coughed it up to Clark. Behind the back pass. Who's going to get it? It'll be Pratt off the bench, but he shot it wide. It handcuffed him a bit. Outwater 1-on-4. Look out for that shot way high off the high glass. Almost shot it directly out of play, but still alive. Westrick toward the front. It's Westrick, Outwater, and Goheen, the trio out for Mike Slobodnik. Berta shot it into traffic. Laska picked it off, flips it down ice looking for McKee, a little too far for him, and Goheen swats it away. Good idea, just couldn't execute. McKee jams it down the wood. Westrick backing up. Pratt toward the middle, but intercepted expertly by Henry Kwiatkowski in his third varsity season as a junior. Goheen pressuring, end of his shift. Eli Colden up the far wall. Pratt the deflection. Froisland overlaps and takes it. Froisland's goal is tied it up at 3, scored it late in the second period. Here he is again. Ripping it off the stick of Goheen, might have been going wide anyway. Froisland toward goal, right on line with that one. Goheen the glove save, and he gives a little friendly stick tap to Cade Pratt on his way by. 14:46 left in the third. Both these teams trying for a 2-win weekend. Byron Center wiped out Rockford 6-1 last night on the road. The Cougars defeated Mona Shores 2-1 on Nate Sova's late winner. Sova has scored again today. It's now 6 goals on the year for him. His final Catholic Central season, 4th and final season. This is game 85 for Nate Sova in his Catholic Central career as the co-captain deflects it deep. Kapinga forechecking. Couldn't get there in time. Now he ties it up with Freusland in the corner. 14 minutes to go in regulation. 2 goals each in the first. 1 goal each in the second. Nothing yet in the third. Story with his head up. Head mans it. Pratt has a step. Pratt dishing it back to Philo. Save by Goheen. He kept the pad against the ice. Another big save to remember. Sova pulls the trigger from out high. Couldn't get it through. Pratt, just got to watch these Bulldogs on the counter. They're so quick getting it up ice. And they love to drive you wide and then look for the centering pass. Laska, there he is again. The defenseman circles the goal. Fan on the pass. Got it back just outside the line. This is Matt Gajtka with you on Cougar Puck Radio. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Icing against Byron Center. Just our, third, I think, afternoon game of the season for Catholic Central. Second one here. The Cougars beat West Ottawa the Saturday before Thanksgiving it was. First weekend of the season on a Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Westrick right to the goal. I swear he does that a couple times a game, and it worked again. Pushing it forward off the faceoff. And now Westrick knocks that puck out of midair. He's flying right now, Zach Westrick. Cleared into the bench by Liam Ten Harmsel, I think, off a Byron Center hand, but no, they're going to say it'll stay in the Catholic Central zone, so it must have been shot straight out. Sophomore D-man, Liam Ten Harmsel. 3 assists on the year. Actually make it 4. He had the primary helper on Luke Goheen's second period power play goal. Or no, it was in the first period. Pardon me, it was the second power play goal of the game for the Cougars. Out of 3. Jammed out by Bates. Back to take it. Colin Story, they lost it. He's being swarmed by white jerseys right now, but O'Keefe finally helps him out. Ten Harmsel bunts it down the wall. Potter wanted to pull up and shoot, but that was interrupted by Story. Played right by Pollock. Apparently he deflected it, so no icing. As it ends up all the way behind the Cougars' net. Ten Harmsel, cross-rink pass. Westrick deflected it, looking for Pollock. Pollock will get to it first, but below the goal line. Overskated. Swanson tried to clear up the far side. Sova shut that down. Nate Sova popped it out in front, looking for Mulvey. No connection. The Bulldogs in black and orange, the Cougars in their alternate white jerseys. Pollock through center. Sova off the stick of Swanson, close to a high stick, but ruled to be legal. Swanson to his D partner, Luke Laska. These two have been out there for a lot of ice time today. Freusland back out there, shooting high and over the right-handed glove of Goheen. Swanson at the other end. Brady Swanson, the goalie, catches with the left hand, which I would say is probably about 90% of the goaltending population. Westrick takes it from Goheen. Oh, he left it behind. Looked like a quick 2-on-1. Now Berta shoots just over the crossbar. Down the wing goes Cade Pratt. Ran into 3 Cougars in front of the bench. 11 minutes to go in the third, and they say the puck was frozen under Pratt and Outwater. Catholic Central, second in the OK conference, the entire conference, not just the Rue Division, in goals allowed per game this season. Coming in, they had permitted just 11 in 8 games. Big reason why 7 of those 8 games were wins. They've given up 3 today, but if they can hold it at 3, that'd be a nice accomplishment against the Byron Center team that averages 5 per outing. Brem swats it behind the Cougars' net. Bates up the far wing. Moss kicking at it. right at the right-hand door on the Cougars bench. Back to the blue line. High-rising shot. Missed everything. That's Tucker Fisher who shot it initially. Fisher has it again. Hands off to Colin Story. The bouncing puck. Fielded by Goheen and handed off. Carlander left it behind, but Dozma finishes the job and clears. Down to the final 10 minutes. Picked off in the middle by Freusland in the high slot. He backs to the wall with Philo in tow. To the line, Laska keeps. Freusland, pull-up move and a shot. Goheen the save, and no rebound. 9:59 to play in the third. Just one game next week for the Cougars. They'll play the newcomer in OK Rue, Hudsonville. The Eagles are 0-8 coming into today's action. So they could go from playing an undefeated team to a team without a win in the span of 6 days. In fact, it'll be 2 games against Hudsonville, sandwiching Christmas. Berta shot, it was offside. Pulled it just barely outside the faded blue line. So it'll be Hudsonville next Friday, scheduled for a 7:30 puck drop here. And then at Hudsonville, they play at Griff's Georgetown, just down the road. That's on Thursday the 28th. And that'll wrap up the December schedule for Catholic Central. Lob shot in on net. Swanson had a hard time with that one. Off the stick of Mulvey. Jammed all the way down. Goheen's got to come out and play it away from Freusland, and he does it well. Just had to get a lot of steam on it, and he pulled it off. Soba toward the middle with that pass. Intercepted and cleared. As for Byron Center, 2 games next week. They have Granville and Hudsonville, both here, not on this rink, but the other rink at Southside. Freusland all the way through. Oh, it's offside. The Cougars fanned on the clear, and suddenly Freusland was in the clear. But Pratt was a step ahead of the play in the attacking zone already. Looking further down the Byron Center schedule, they've got Bay Reps coming into Southside on January the 6th. Delayed penalty against Byron Center. It'll be a 6th power play for the Cougars if they don't score on this sequence. The goalie's off, 6 attackers on. Pass back to the point, and that's the big fear, right, is that it goes all the way back into your own net on that sort of a situation. It's happened at all levels. Penalty called on McKee, I believe. Yes, he is the one going off to the box. 8:29 to go in the third, our first penalty of the third period. And Byron Center is short again. I don't have to tell you, here's the opening. The Cougars are 3 for 5 on the power play today. Really 3 for 4. The first power play lasted 18 seconds. So on ones where they've had an honest chance at it, they're almost perfect today. Westrick, off the scramble draw. Gave it to Bates. Shot it through traffic. Never got through. Bates loves to pull that trigger quickly with the wrist shot from out high. Westrick has it poked off his stick, and Freusland escapes. Pratt trying to go back to Freusland between his legs. Now Freusland capping it to the ice. The Bulldogs have 2 shorthanded goals this year, in case you're curious, both scored by Pratt. Big hit by Kwiatkowski, knocking Freusland down, and he lost his stick as well. Can the Cougars go at it on the counter? 4-on-2. Westrick, Bates, Blocked. Oh my goodness, what a block that was by Swanson. Saved the day for Byron Center, and I'm not exaggerating. The Bulldogs had a man caught deep. They couldn't get him back in the play. That was Freusland. And so Colton Swanson went down to prevent the shot from getting through to the goaltender, Brady Swanson. 50 seconds left on the power play. 10 Harmsel up the far side wall. Goheen. Good pass to find Outwater on the move. Backhand right through the top of the crease. Swatted wide by Swanson. Goheen centering. Philo picks it off, and all in one motion, he clears. Half minute to go. Goheen sends this skyward about 10 feet in the air, maybe 15. Bunted back for the dump in by Catholic Central. Colton Swanson reverses it to the near corner. Goheen couldn't get it back to Berta. It was deflected away from him by Laska. Final 10 seconds of the power play. Looks like Catholic Central's going to come up empty on this opportunity. They'll be 3 for 6 in just a couple of seconds. Still, fantastic performance by this unit. They've got them in a 3-3 game, but now just 6:20 left in the third. Fisher, deflected dish into the bench again. Halts play with 6:14 to go. Great to be with you yet again from Southside. This is the middle game of a 3-game homestand for Catholic Central. So far in the year, they're a perfect 4-0 at home. And they are the home team today, in case you're curious. This is their side of the rink. Byron Center has the other side. Again in the bench on the attempted dump in by Kwiatkowski. Looks like almost all the fans have stuck around, and why not? With the verdict still up in the air. It's been fun to bring it to you. It's been an exciting matinee this afternoon. Kwiatkowski couldn't handle. Freusland takes over. Got a man going to the net, but he tried to shoot, and Berta blocked it with his stick. That long reach, so tough to get it by him if he's got you measured. Freusland with Pratt. Those two just have an impressive chemistry together. Pratt takes it back. Missed on the feed to Freusland. Berta eventually hustles after it. Everyone was looking to the other guy to see who was going to go get it. No one got it for a while. Freusland there. Behind the goal. He's tripped up, and it's going to be a penalty against Catholic Central. Pratt centering. Gave it away to Mulvey. Penalty on the way. Penalty called. 5:30 remaining. It'll be just the third power play of the afternoon for the Bulldogs. Henry Kwiatkowski taking down Freusland. There was some dispute over it. Kwiatkowski's second penalty of the afternoon, but the first one that puts the Cougs shorthanded. And the face-off control by Byron Center. Laska to the goal. Goheen saw it the whole way. Swatted it out of there with the stick. Clark behind the net. Bates couldn't clear past the massive Luke Philo. Clark backhanding toward the front. It was blocked. Clark on it again. In the near corner this time. Outwater got in the way of that pass. Another penalty coming up against Catholic Central. Deflected out the center by Westrick. Didn't have possession, so that's why no whistle yet. Oh boy, the Cougars in penalty trouble now. Outwater touches up. Westrick tripped Clark after the penalty was called. O'Keefe doesn't like it for Byron Center. He pokes at Westrick. But Outwater's going to the box. And we're looking at a 2-man advantage for 1 minute and 28 seconds for Byron Center. 4:57 left in regulation time. Didn't catch the call, but really doesn't matter. Loose puck penalty. And Byron Center's not going to take a timeout, it looks like. Both teams have a timeout. And just as I say that, Jordan Stegner says, okay, we're going to talk it over. Timeout, BC. Head contact, the call against Outwater, his first penalty of the day. A rough time for it. Well, the Cougars killed off a long two-man advantage for Mona Shores last night in the first period. But Mona didn't have the firepower this Bulldogs power play will put on the ice. It's going to be a challenge to say the least. Recapping today's scoring, Byron Center struck first. Colton Swanson, 6.5 minutes into the first period, off assists from Pratt and Freusland. The Cougars answered back. Isaac Kappinga, I think it was him. Looking at the replay, looked like it was him. Off assist from Sova and Braden Bates. Kappinga tapping in the rebound of Bates' point shot. Just a couple of minutes after Byron Center took the lead, it was 1-1. Then BC went back ahead. Philo on a two-man rush with Freusland. Philo turned it to the forehand and beat Trent Goheen with exactly 8 to go in the first. 2-1 BC, but then Catholic Central had another response. Luke Goheen, from the sharpest of angles, almost along the goal line, rifled in the rebound of Liam Ten Harmsel's point shot during a power play with 5.5 to go in the first. Then the Cougars took their only lead of this game. Sova, midway through the second, his wrist shot, again on the power play, hit a Byron Center stick laying on the ice and deflected in. But then BC tied it up. Jackson Freusland, individual effort, driving in with a power move and stashing it by Goheen. And that's where we stand, 3-3. And there's a clear for Catholic Central. A very important clear. We are under 5 to go in the third. Freusland had it poked off his stick, but right to Passano. To the middle. 5-on-3 power play for Byron Center. Pratt to the far side in Freusland. Pratt gets it back. Taking a look. Saucered it over to Freusland. The puck's bouncing around on the choppy ice. Pratt, one touch. Want to go backside. Freusland's shot on a slapper. Goheen makes the save. No further play. 51 seconds remaining on the two-man advantage. The tension is thick. It was thick in the second period. It's even gotten more fraught here in the third, especially for the Cougars. Pinned against the wall right now. Freusland backhanding to open space. Passano was there, fortunately for the Bulldogs. Fakes the pass. Now Pratt shooting, and glove save by Goheen with that right-handed trapper. Again, he keeps for the face-off. 3-3, but wouldn't say either goalie has played poorly today. It's one of those games. We've got a lot of offensive talent on the ice. Clark's helmet was dislodged, so we're going to have to do this again. He's actually got to go to the bench to put that helmet on, so Philo's going to take his place. And because the helmet came off, that's a break for the Cougars. The face-off will be in the neutral zone. That forces BC to regroup before they get it back into the attacking end, if they can. Freusland under some pressure from Mulvey. Worked it over to Pratt. Back to Freusland. He gains the blue. 20 seconds to go on the 5-on-3. Pratt. Freusland shooting, and he missed. Pratt tries to collect that rebound. Mulvey in his kitchen. Pratt over to Passano. Back to Pratt. Now Passano. Takes a look. Shoots short side. Saved by Goheen, and it hops out of play. 5 seconds left on the first penalty to Kwiatkowski. And he's itching to get out of that box. He's going to go right to the bench. And he'll get replaced by a forward, I would imagine. There's 2 D out there right now. Berta and Ten Harmsel along with Westrick. Philo takes the faceoff for BC. Passano controls. Back to Pratt. 5-on-3 is over. First mission accomplished for Catholic Central. Philo swirls out high. 3.5 to go in the period. One-touch pass. Ten Harmsel harassing Pratt, but Pratt has it again. Fed it across. Sova knocks it down. McKee lost it to Ten Harmsel. He's going to try to pin it to the wall briefly. Kicks it over to Sova. Clears to the near side. Westrick chasing. Look out. Pratt playing it nonchalantly. Down to the final seconds, and the power play is over. Catholic Central's killed off both ends, including a long 5-on-3. They never really gave up a great chance, to be honest. Impressive work. Byron Center's 0 for 4 on the power play today. Can the Cougars keep the pressure on? Save, rebound, score! McKee buried the rebound of his own opportunity. I was just going to say, can the Cougars turn it back the other way and switch the momentum? I guess not. McKee, the go-ahead goal with 2:31 left in the third. Just a bang-bang play at the front. So Byron Center does not score on the power plays. They do score at even strength. Just a little sag and focus there from Catholic Central, and the Bulldogs made him pay. McKee, his 4th of the year, 4-3, the 3rd lead of the game for Byron Center, trying to improve to 10-0. Kwiatkowski's shot was deflected into the netting over the high glass behind the Byron Center net. 2:17 remaining. And now we got to think about Trent Goheen coming off for an extra attacker over the next shift or two. Catholic Central still has its timeout as well. Boy, the Cougars have battled all night long, and they got that huge penalty kill, or all day long, excuse me. Hard habit to break. And really full credit to Byron Center. They could have been deflated after not scoring on that sequence. Pratt chasing after this. Goheen drives it away from his net. Fisher gets an assist on McKee's go-ahead goal that's got Byron Center on the doorstep of win number 10. But Catholic Central still with something to say about it. 1:48 to go in the third. Dumped in behind the Cougars' net. Luke Goheen takes it from brother Trent. Kwiatkowski now to Luke Goheen. Over to Mulvey, off his stick. Right to Eli Colden. Off to Story, bouncing it toward the Cougar line. Comes on to McKee. Hit the outside of the post with the stuff shot. He was in free, but only briefly. Couldn't make the move. Goheen knocks it ahead. And now Trent Goheen looks over his shoulder at the only clock in the building. 1:10 and ticking. He's thinking about coming off the ice. But the Cougars have to control first. Given away, McKee in front. Ten Harmsel bumps into him and pops the puck loose. Kappinga over the blue line. Stick handling, and he's checked hard by Laska. But the puck ends up behind the net. 6 skaters on now for Catholic Central. 40 seconds to go in the third. Cougars down 1. Berta, shot blocked. And here's McKee looking for his second of the period, and he scores from center ice into the empty net. 5-3 Byron Center with 30 seconds to go. An even strength, empty netter. Braxton McKee makes it a 2-goal lead. Goheen back to the net. And really for the first time this year, a close one is going to go against Catholic Central. They'd won the previous 3 that went down to the wire, all with late goals in regulation. But the tables turned on them this afternoon. Story with 20 seconds. Out through to center. Bates cleared it, but The Cougars need a lot more than that. Moss poked it by O'Keefe to the corner. Cooper Moss right through the slot. Bates shooting. Oh, that was ticketed for the top right corner, but it just missed. Brem trying to clear. Final 2 seconds. The Bulldogs jump over the bench, and they win it. Byron Center 5, Catholic Central 3. The Bulldogs are 10-0. The Cougars fall for just the second time this season. They are now 7-2. Well, certainly no shame in the result, but the shame comes in the circumstance, as Catholic Central was right there with them all afternoon long, including holding a brief 3-2 lead in the second period. But 2 goals in the final 2.5 minutes, both scored by Braxton McKee. The first one, the game winner, the second one into an empty net to clinch it for Jordan Steger and this Byron Center program that continues to roll along. Over the past 2 seasons now, they're a combined 38-2. So Catholic Central splits the weekend at home, beating Mona Shores yesterday, falling this afternoon to Byron Center on home ice. Goal scorers for the Cougars: Kapinga, Sova, and Goheen. Trent Goheen was strong in net, but Byron Center just a little bit too much. So congrats to them. We'll see the Bulldogs again in mid-February for the final game of the regular season. And the Cougars salute their fans who turned up today to watch them go toe-to-toe with one of the top teams in the state of Michigan. And the Bulldogs follow suit for what was essentially the equivalent of a home crowd for them too. All right, that's it for me. Thank you for watching on Cougar Puck Radio. I'm Matt Gajtka. Going to go ice my vocal cords and hopefully be ready at full strength for next Friday's game against Hudsonville. 7:30 face-off, as I said earlier today. First meeting between the two OK Rue rivals as Hudsonville moves up to the Rue division. The Eagles are struggling this year, but they'll be motivated to try to get win number 1 next Friday when they visit Southside. One last time from 100th Street in Byron Center, this is Matt Gajtka saying good night. God bless, and I'll talk to you next weekend. Byron Center wins it 5-3 this afternoon.